United States has welcomed the South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's decision to lift the martial law, expressed concern over the unfolding situation in the East Asian country. The US emphasized its unwavering commitment to the Republic of Korea as a vital ally in the Indo-Pacific.
We will continue to follow developments on the ground very closely. We want this to be resolved peacefully in accordance with the rule of law, and certainly the legislature voting to pass something would be consistent with the law of that country, certainly.
Meanwhile, the US Embassy in Seoul has put out an advisory asking Americans to avoid areas where protests are taking place. And Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba on Wednesday said that Tokyo was monitoring the situation in South Korea with exceptional and serious concerns. Speaking to reporters at his office, the Japanese PM said that government was taking all possible measures to ensure the safety of Japanese nationals, including issuing warnings through consular emails. All right, indeed, India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us live to give us more inputs on what's happening. Hi Shubhendu, a very good morning to you. After imposing martial law, Shubhendu, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has announced the removal of emergency martial law. Take us through the series of events and what led to this announcement in the first place.
Good morning, Siddharth. Yes, absolutely chaotic scenes in the capital Seoul of South Korea and elsewhere in the country. So if we go by the sequence of events, local time, Seoul time, about 10:30 p.m. last night, in an unannounced televised address, President Yoon Suk-yeol of South Korea comes on television. He announces that he's declaring martial law with immediate effect. We understand that the implications of martial law would be the suspension of all civil rights and the military would be taking over the country. People are expected to stay indoors, but we saw that the reaction to the martial law order was quite the opposite.
Yeah.
People hit the streets, particularly the lawmakers. And in time, we realized that more than a security decision, it appeared to be an internal political decision. We have to understand that Yoon Suk-yeol stands on very thin ice as far as his own political grounding is concerned. Lately, especially earlier this year in April, when his party lost the parliament election, it was as if his political wings were clipped. Most of his legislations are getting blocked by the opposition Democratic Party in the parliament. There are impeachment proceedings that have been proceeded against many of his cabinet leaders. His own approval rating, Siddharth, had dropped to as low as 19% in the recent survey that had come in. So in that sense, that Yoon Suk-yeol was aware that he is losing political ground. And in fact, the rhetoric that he uses of North Korea is not the first time that he's put it to use. In the Korean Peninsula, it does work. North Korea talks about threats from South Korea, and South Korean leaders talk about threats from North Korea, and does have a certain currency. But this time over, people could see through it. There were dramatic scenes post that announcement. At about past midnight, 1 a.m., the legislators, about 190 of them out of 300, could in fact reach the National Assembly. That's the name of the parliament of South Korea. There were security guards. There were reports of the police and security guards being unsure about what is their responsibility, because the announcement of the military rule of the emergency was so unexpected. But these lawmakers did manage to reach the inside of the parliament. Some also climbed the wall. There was a voting done, and unanimously, the 190 lawmakers voted to lift the emergency and the martial law. Earlier this morning, President Yoon Suk-yeol made an announcement that following the direction of the parliament, he's lifting the martial law.
True.
People have been on the streets chanting "Long live Korea" and "Step down Yoon Suk-yeol." So, in fact, the final blow to his rule appears to have come from himself and his rather rash decision. And it is to be seen if he steps down, or will the parliament move towards proceed with the impeachment process that they have been threatening with. But for Yoon Suk-yeol, a big setback last night, the dramatic scenes that we witnessed. Siddharth?
Indeed, a big setback. Also, Shubhendu, you were also mentioning that now the big question is what next, as opposition calls for President Yoon Suk-yeol's resignation. What is your analysis saying? Yeah.
That's right, Siddharth. There is no doubt about that. The ground that he had, I said his approval ratings were down, but after the decision and the developments last night, the setback for him is going to be huge. It is just a matter of time whether he chooses to step back or whether the impeachment process begins against him. Remember, he does not have much support in the parliament, even from his own party. There have been statements that are being issued that this was a rash decision. This was not a thought out decision. Even his own cabinet members were not taken into confidence while making this decision. And therefore, it is to be seen the manner in which the political outcome, the fallout of this decision is seen in the days ahead. In fact, we're waiting to hear from the office of Yoon Suk-yeol. He had some morning appointments and meetings, but he had cancelled all of those, postponed all of those.
Okay.
He's gone into a huddle, as it were. So we yet to hear from his office as to what his next step is going to be. But yes, now pressure mounts on Yoon Suk-yeol tremendously as the parliament, his own cadre, his own chief of staff, have in fact submitted their papers of resignation. So in that sense, he's losing ground even from his own immediate coterie. But the bigger picture also is about the developments in the Korean Peninsula. North, South Korea, the Cold War, the aggressive stance that they have against one another, that will also be taken to the next level. We'll have to see how North Korea responds to these developments. Remember, Yoon Suk-yeol, while declaring the emergency, spoke about the threat from the North Korea, spoke about the manner in which there was infiltration of communists, in his words, of his government. So we'll have to wait and watch. Next few hours will be critical, Siddharth, to see what happens next in the politics of South Korea.
Definitely next few hours will be very, very critical, but we leave it there. We have to wait and see what happens next. But thank you so much for joining in, Shubhendu.